Good afternoon, everyone. Carolina Gilcapi here. I'm so excited for your upcoming trip to Africa, and I am at your disposal during our live Zoom for questions, answers, anything that pops into your mind. But for those who cannot come to our live Zoom, and of course for everyone to refresh your mind of what to expect, I'm going to share my screen now and go through the itinerary quickly so you kind of prepare for our live meeting tomorrow with any questions that you might have from this presentation. So on top, you will have our contact details for when you're traveling. 24/7, I am available, as well as Arisha, my colleague in South Africa. So you have our 24-hour numbers there. And then requirements to enter, as you have already been told, all you need is your passport. So I know everybody has a valid passport. Make sure you bring it. And then the only other document that we will have to do is our dual entry visa when we're entering Victoria Falls. So for Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Botswana, it's one document. It's the Casa visa. It's $50. So that is what you need to prepare to have $50 in cash, because they take credit cards, but sometimes those credit card machines are not working, and then cash is preferred. So $50 for your visa. I will have assistance for us to take care of all those paperwork and documentation on arrival there. So there's nothing for us to do before departure. And now let's tackle the itinerary. So October 1st, you're going to take your flight. Some of the group members are arriving on United at 5:45, and some of us are arriving on Delta at 7 p.m. So I hired a separate mode of transportation so that no one is waiting for the other group, and private cars will be taking our group to our hotel, which is the Peach Boutique. And after getting luggage, most likely you will not get to the hotel until 8, 9, maybe even 10 p.m. So just check in, relax, get some well-deserved rest, and we can start touring the following day. So October 3rd, and under every day you have a BL, BLD. Of course, that stands for the meals that are prearranged and included. So if it's not listed here, we can tackle some ideas of what we can do for those meals that are not included, of course. And that's why Arisha and I will be there to make sure you have some ideas and recommendations. We will tackle some historic sites of Johannesburg, of course, Mandela's house, Soweto Township. We will have a beautiful local traditional lunch. It's a great place to unwind, acclimate to the time change, get some history before we head out to safari. So breakfast and lunch is included. There's some wonderful meal suggestions in Johannesburg. Of course, our hotel has a great restaurant as well with a multi-course meal. I put some details here for you to review, and we can, of course, talk locally as well. And now October 4th, we're ready to fly to safari, which is going to be the Kruger National Park. So again, we're going to check out of the hotel, get in our bus, go to the airport, take a nonstop flight to Skukuza. And from then on, the lodge will be picking us up and including all the services. So the Kruger Shalati train on the bridge is where we will be staying first. They are providing the transportation. They will arrange all the beautiful meals, game drives, and activities with the lodge. So it's a really wonderful start to the safari. Kruger is such a congested area. I usually see the big five within 48 hours. It's such a wonderful place. So I'm very excited for you to start your adventure on a game drive here. And we will be there for 2 nights. So you will have a morning game drive, afternoon game drive, all your meals, sundowners, really wonderful experiences. And then October 6th, after our 2 nights at the Shalati train, we're going to still stay in the national park, but we're going to switch accommodations to the Beck's Safari Lodge. So this is on the opposite side of the park. The scenery will be different, and even crossing from one park to from one lodge to the next is really exciting, because you are in the national park and it's part of the game drive itself. Now, in order to make it even more exciting, I have gone through the itinerary, and I have done a lot of tweaks and additions and special touches kind of put in there for you to really elevate the experience. So en route between the 2 lodges, we will stop at the Niti Cultural Village. This is so you can get a glimpse into the life in the bush, because although you will be spending quite a few nights in the bush, you will be at lodges and not where the local people live. So this will give you a really nice idea of who lives here and their music and their beautiful clothing. And it's a great stop in between and a chance to get a traditional Kruger National Park lunch here as well, which is what we will do. Then we're going to check into Beit Safari Lodge and then do our afternoon game drive, go have a beautiful dinner and relax. Now for the next 2 days, because we're going to be staying 3 nights at Kruger at the Beit Safari Lodge, here is where we will split the group in the mornings, and half the group will do a hot air balloon and the other half will do a walking safari. This is our morning activity. So the group will be split into 2. Everyone will get to do everything. We will just do it in rotations. So October 7th, half of you will do a hot air balloon, and then the other half will do the hot air balloon on October 8th, while the other ones are doing a walking safari and vice versa. Now, when I say walking safari, let me tell you, this is such a great addition. A lot of the experiences on safari are in a vehicle. You're always sitting, you're always watching. It's exciting, but it is not active at all. So when you do a walking safari, the adrenaline is fantastic, and you get to stretch and walk around with your guide and your scout that comes with you. Lots of protection, it's completely safe, and it's a wonderful addition to the experience. So we have all of that arranged for you, and that completes our 5 nights in Kruger National Park. Of course, the guides and the lodges will have so many different things to add and elevate the experience even further, like a boma dinner and things like that. October 9, we'll fly to Victoria Falls. So we have to leave the Beit Safari Lodge early in the morning. Breakfast is arranged. Drive to the airport that has a non-stop flight to Victoria Falls. And here, once we land in Victoria Falls, we will have assistance at customs. So everyone can have their visa processed. Everyone can have everything taken care of before we go ahead to our hotel, which is the Ilala Lodge. I love the Ilala Lodge because of its location. It is steps from the waterfalls, which is very unusual in this area. Most of the hotels are a drive away, but we can literally walk to the falls within 7 minutes. And I'm very excited about tonight after we check into the Ilala Lodge, because here we were going to go on the Zambezi River and just have like a sundowner, like a drink or a glass of champagne or a juice. And I have gone ahead and upgraded the whole group to our dinner cruise. So your meal is arranged here. This is a really wonderful welcome to Zimbabwe, and I'm very excited for you to experience sunset on the Zambezi River, which is like a game drive, because there'll be hippos and caiman and animals coming up to the water's edge to drink. So it's very exciting. So enjoy. Ilala Lodge. We're going to be there for 3 nights. So our first night is that Zambezi dinner and arrival. Second night is when we're going to focus on seeing the waterfalls. So we're dedicating today to the waterfalls. So we're going to see them from the Zimbabwe side. We're going to see them from the Zambia side, which again includes a border crossing. But the reason it's really special to cross the border to Zambia, which is less visited than Zimbabwe, is for Livingston Island. And Livingston Island is home to the Devil's Pool. So anyone brave enough to go swimming can do so here. It's really exciting. It's right at the edge of the waterfalls, and it's quite famous. And it's not accessible half of the year when it's too dry or when the water is too rough. So of course, everything is based on weather and availability, right? But if it's safe for us to go, we will do so. And of course, beautiful lunch arranged for you before we come back to Ilala Lodge for the evening. And dinner is not arranged tonight, but you can eat at Ilala. I listed some pricing. There's Lookout Cafe nearby. So there's some ideas for sure to enjoy in the area. But from experience, most people will eat at Ilala because it's a long day at the falls. And October 11th, excuse me, we are once again going to cross a border. This is quite an active part of our itinerary because we're going to be moving to see as much as possible. And we are going to cross into Chobe National Park, which is in Botswana. There are many reasons to visit this park. One of them is for the hundreds and hundreds of elephants that live here, for the change of scenery, because the elephants have changed the park from a rainforest to almost a desert. And the third reason is to see a game drive by boat, or a safari by boat. So Botswana is known for its boat tours and boat game drives, and this is what we're going to experience. So again, because our vehicles are smaller and the boats are smaller, we're going to separate us into smaller safari vehicles to be able to experience this. We will all go together, but we will have separate cars. That way we're not on a bus looking out a window, but we're going to be in a safari truck. And lunch is included there in the park before we return across the border and back into Zimbabwe and back to our hotel. So again, that visa, that multi-entry visa that we have gotten on that first day is really important, because we're going to be using it every day in Victoria Falls. And now October 12th, we are leaving Zimbabwe and coming back to South Africa. This is our travel day. We're going to fly from Livingstone to Cape Town. The plane does touch down in Johannesburg, so we have about 2 hours of plane change in Johannesburg before continuing to Cape Town. So we're going to arrive at 8 p.m. Again, this is our travel day, so we will have nothing but relaxation at the Pepper Club that we're going to check into in Cape Town to prepare for touring the following days. So again, we have some recommendations for dinner. The Pepper Club can assist with a meal upon our arrival. And then, of course, Cape Town is filled with amazing restaurants and really well priced. I love eating out in Cape Town because there are so many different opportunities and fantastic food and wine here. So October 13th, we're going to focus on Cape Town and the wine country. So we're going to go to Table Mountain. We're going to see all the sites in the city. And then we're going to go to Franschhoek and we're going to have a wine experience. Again, I was really excited to make sure you have something really special here, especially since we're only dedicating one day to the wine country. So before we were only going to do like a wine blending. Now we're going to do a full-on hands-on foodie workshop, which will turn into a lunch, which is very traditional here in the Cape region. So I'm excited for you to see that as well. And then we're going to come back to Cape Town, have free time, go to maybe the waterfront for dinner. Dinner is at your own time, so you can enjoy the city itself. And again, we will be there to arrange reservations or transportation and so on. And now on October 14th, so if you kind of think of a map of Cape Town, the most southern part of Africa is just a few hours away, and that's called Cape Point. So now we're going to dedicate the day to Cape Point. So we're going to go down to the most southern part of the continent. We're going to ride the funicular gondola there. We're going to go to Boulders Beach to see the penguins and be able to kayak there. For anyone who wants to kayak, it's included. But if you don't want to kayak, by no means will you be pressured to. You can just enjoy Boulders Beach and seeing those fun little guys. We'll have a beautiful lunch in a restaurant there on the coast. So it's really a spectacular day, very scenic, great for photography, and completely different from everything else we would have done in the last 13 days. And then tonight, very special activity is the spice experience at the Gold Restaurant, which is kind of, again, you're part of the experience. We're going to be there for a few hours. There's live music. There's amazing food. You're going to taste spices and wine and all kinds of different things. But it's a really wonderful way to wrap up our Cape Town experience and say goodbye to South Africa. And then day 15, which is October 15th, is our flight home. Most of us are leaving in the evening or in the early evening, 8 p.m., 9:30 p.m. So our transfer as a group will be at 4:30 p.m., which means there is a gap between checking out and going to the airport. Pepper Club will hold everybody's luggage. They have free shuttles that go into the waterfront. So we can either have a nice lunch near the hotel, at the hotel, or take the shuttle and go into waterfront, maybe go to Balthazar, which is a really fantastic restaurant. Could be a fun little farewell lunch there. before going to the airport and flying home. So that is what the itinerary looks like. I hope you jotted down some questions for me. Of course, I'm here to help. Your pre-departure packet will have additional information on the language, English being the main one. Time zone will be 6 hours ahead, or yes, ahead. And then currency. This is a big question. Many of you have already reached out to us about currency. So you have some options. You can bring the South African rand from here from your bank if you want to order it ahead of time, or you can bring your ATM card and use a local bank, and that will give you local currency, the rand. Or you can bring US cash, crisp new bills, and you can exchange it there in Johannesburg, so you can have money throughout South Africa. So there are a few options. Of course, credit cards are accepted. I would leave American Express at home, but Visas and MasterCards are widely accepted at restaurants, at shopping, maybe not at markets. That's where you will need some currency, either US dollars or local rands. And then when we're in Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Botswana, a lot of our stuff is already included anyway, but for the meals and for the experiences or shopping, you can use US dollars, because the Zimbabwe dollar is no longer, they are now using the US dollar. So any questions about that, please add them to your list there. Tipping. Tipping is at your discretion. It's not mandatory, but it is not included. So whenever you're with your guide or whenever you're on safari, you can tip. Usually on safari, you tip when we're checking out just one time. And then you will always have the same guides. Like in Johannesburg, it's the same people. And then in Cape Town, it's local, the same people. And then, of course, in Victoria Falls as well. So you can tip guides as you please at the end. We can discuss that locally. Do we want to gather that into one and tip as a group? Do we want to tip individually? Please, it's at your discretion. I put down there what our suggestion is, but it is, of course, up to you. But at restaurants, tipping is usually included right away, just like Europe does. So that's much easier there. Internet access, there's Wi-Fi at all the lodges, but I always say prepare for no Wi-Fi and be pleasantly surprised when it does work, because you are going to quite remote locations. And electricity, I have a picture here for you for what type of plugs you will have in the hotels. Now, a lot of the lodges are trying to put in USB ports and the same port as here in the United States, but some of them might still not have it. So prepare for these plugs. And of course, if you're bringing laptops, hair dryers, or anything like that, you have to make sure you're switching to a higher voltage. So have a converter as well. Luggage allowances. So most of you are coming in on international flights that already have your luggage included. And then when you're flying those 3 flights within South Africa, within the trip, you will be allowed 1 checked bag for 50 pounds and 1 carry-on bag. So let me know how that works for you. Let me know if you are planning to bring a second check bag. It is allowed. You can pay for that locally when we're at the airport and checking in. But sometimes if the flight is overbooked or really filled with luggage, then sometimes they say it will go on another plane. So I highly suggest limiting your luggage to 1 checked bag and 1 carry-on. And somebody asked me about what type of bags are we allowed. You can bring any suitcase. You do not need to bring a soft bag like in Eastern Africa, like Kenya and Tanzania usually require soft bags. You can bring any bag. And now packing, which is, I know, the hardest part, and the most questions usually come around packing. So starting with the safari, because in the cities, Cape Town, Johannesburg, and even in Victoria Falls for the waterfall tours, that is at your discretion. Wear shorts, wear long pants, wear whatever you would like. For dinner, feel free to dress up or not. Jackets are never required for the gentlemen, so you can leave those at home. One thing I suggest is leave heels at home. This is probably not the best trip to bring your heels, perhaps maybe in Cape Town for dinner, but comfortable shoes are key here. But when we are on safari for our 5 nights in Kruger Park, and then for a few days in Victoria Falls when we're doing Chobe Park and so on, this is an idea of what a safari outfit looks like and what works. So main point is protection. So long pants, whenever we're doing something that we are out of the truck, like walking safaris or going to the waterfalls or well, maybe not waterfalls, but when we're in a boat, long pants are great because, in case there's mosquitoes, in case there's any insects, in case there's snakes. We are in the wild there. You want to have long pants and closed-toe shoes. Then, as you see on top, both these clients are wearing multiple layers, and that's because morning and evenings are quite cold, and then in the afternoon and the peak of the day, it's quite warm. So you want to be able to take things on and off throughout the day to be comfortable. And also protection of the head from the sun, from the wind. You want to have sunglasses, you want to have scarves, things like that. Colors. Although you can wear whatever color you want, truly, no one will say you cannot wear it on a game drive. This is traditional to wear nature colors like beiges and browns and greens and even white. White is quite popular on safari. Black is not as popular and attracts more insects. So sometimes the guides say you shouldn't wear black, but truly you can wear whatever you want as long as you have those layers and protection. And here is another picture for you, because in the heat of the day, you will see many people will be wearing shorts, and that is okay as well. And many times when I am on a game drive where I know I'm going to be sitting in a car nonstop and, and then come back to the lodge, I wear sandals, I wear flip-flops. That's okay as well. So we will always discuss the day before what's happening the following day so you are prepared. And another thing about clothing is when it comes to laundry. So after your 5 days on the game drives, we're going to be in Victoria Falls. That is a good place to do laundry. Ilala Lodge has a laundry service. We're going to be there for 3 nights, so there's plenty of time. So that's a good place to kind of like right in the middle of the trip, wash anything that you need washed, and continue on with the trip. So I hope that really helps. But other things that are really helpful on safari, of course, bring all your equipment. This is the time you're going to be taking amazing photographs. Bring binoculars if you have some. The lodges usually have a number of binoculars that you can borrow from them. There are sometimes in the room that sometimes the guides have. But if you love observing wildlife, then I suggest bringing a pair of your own. There's some really great binoculars even on Amazon now. It's sunscreen protection, mosquito protection, of course, some kind of cream. Chapstick is really important because you're going to be in open vehicles and it's windy. But I have a list here for you, so go through it. Bathing suits, that's right, because we're going to have multiple times when we're going to be able to get in the water or the pools. So go through it, and I look forward to going over this again with you and all of your questions, and happy travels.